You're listening to the Forum Podcast, a production of Calvin Theological Seminary.
Today, my guest is Kurt Visker, a licensed therapist, and we're going to be talking about anxiety, specifically building resilience in anxious times. So, Kurt, thanks for sitting with me and having the conversation today.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, I want to ask you just a little bit about counseling, just to jump right in. People have all kinds of opinions and things come to mind when you talk about the word counseling. So, what is it? What happens in counseling? Why is it so important? Why is it powerful? Help us understand what this thing is.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think a lot of times people have some fear around counseling. They think of it as you have to have some huge issue going on in your life, or you must have to have the right to go to counseling, or something's really wrong with you. And I mean, counseling a lot of times is just helping people get some things that they're holding inside out. It's a lot of times something where people can learn more about themselves and build some awareness, navigate relationships differently. And I mean, counseling's like having someone just walk with you through things a lot of times. It's really not as scary as maybe it can feel for some people, because people think oh, I got to bare my soul or share all these deep things. And I think therapists are pretty thoughtful about letting things come out kind of at the pace and letting them come out as needed.
Okay.
And not trying to force it. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I can think of my times. I used to work as a hall director at a university and work with college students, and it seemed like we were always referring people to counseling for any number of things. And one thing I noticed as a barrier was it seemed like people thought they should be able to do it on their own. I don't know if it's gendered too, if men seem to be like that, but yeah. What are some of the barriers? I think you named some of the some fears, but yeah, what are some of the other barriers that people have to getting that guide that you talked about?
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a barrier of I should know this, or why can't I figure this out? But I think we all don't have the full perspective about every aspect of our lives, and to have somebody who's worked with a lot of people and has their own experiences and training to help people see different sides of things can just be really beneficial. I mean, other barriers, a lot of times it's maybe fear of having to face something that they've been keeping, in more of a hidden spot in their life. So sometimes people aren't quite ready to dig into parts of them, and so that fear can be a barrier. Sometimes people have home environments or cultures they've grown up in that don't support it.
Okay.
So, yeah, those are the things that I'd see as barriers.
Yeah. So I want to ask one more question just about counseling itself and what it's like, to help us and our listeners kind of get our heads around what actually happens in counseling. Many of us have been to counseling. Some of us haven't. What's the end result? If that's even a fair question, when counseling, quote unquote, works, or when you say, hey, this client's making lots of progress, what are those outcomes? What happens as a result of that guide walking with you?
Yeah, I would say the outcome typically is a person getting to a place where they feel like they know themselves more. They feel like they're more aware, more authentic. And because of that, they feel like they're able to manage with confidence what comes at them. And that can take quite a bit of time. It can take kind of multiple chunks. It could take you go to therapy for 6 months, take a break, revisit it in a year, you
Okay.
know, and so, yeah, I think at the end, if there is an end, I mean, I think you don't have to be in counseling your whole life, but I think you're constantly trying to figure out and learn about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so that process is what counseling can help with. And then, yeah, kind of the end is of like a session would be kind of knowing more about
Mm-hmm.
who you are.
Okay.
So,
Which could be an outcome in of itself,
mhm.
which is healthy.
Mhm.
And then sometimes it goes further that self-awareness helps people with a specific thing maybe, right?
Yes.
That drove them.
Yes.
I'm trying to help
Mhm.
my kid or my
Yep.
marriage or something specific, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it could look like a relationship issue that gets then resolved.
Yeah.
Or, you know, people think about some of the main things with mental health issues of like anxiety or depression, and
Mhm.
getting people to a more functional state where the anxiety or the depression isn't like a dominant force in their life. It's
Okay.
something that they learn to adapt, or, you know, learn to your different skills to cope with.
Yeah.
So
So it might not go away, but it's
Yeah.
shrunk maybe, or it's less powerful.
yeah, less
Yeah.
powerful. That's a good
Okay.
way to say it. Yeah.
So what about you though? What motivated you going to counseling
Mhm.
to be this guy that you talked about?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly there's something there, right? That
Mm-hmm.
triggered you to say, I think I want to help people.
Yeah. I think it wasn't something that I thought I was going to do when I was like a kid. You know, as I got older into high school, just get into like more in-depth conversations with friends, seeing friendships, family go through challenging times. Yeah, I mean, specifically there was in high school, I had a couple friends whose parents went through a divorce, and then I kind of had to see how they went through it and how it impacted them, and really wanting that to not happen to people.
The divorce itself,
The divorce
or the impact?
itself.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And kind of thinking, how can I be influential in reducing the divorce, you know, so that
Yeah.
kids aren't going through it. So that was,
How old were you at that point?
so I was a senior in high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So just starting to see kind of some of the realities of the world.
Yeah.
And wanting to be an influence to help it. So that was kind of initially what got me thinking about it, and
Yeah.
then having some conversations with friends, listening, being a support, and feeling like I was helpful.
Yeah.
So like,
Maybe you're good at this,
maybe
right?
maybe there's a way
Yeah.
forward here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, we want to talk about resilience today.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a big word that
Yeah.
is kind of thrown around a lot. I think sometimes people think of resilience as, you know, some superhero who's just ironclad,
Mm-hmm.
able to withstand anything.
Yeah. Very
But
tough. Yeah.
how do therapists talk about resilience as far as what it actually is?
Yeah. I mean, I think, when I think about resilience, in some ways, I just think about the ability to keep going. And obviously you get things that come at you, whatever it is in life, you know, challenges that come at you. And it's the ability to like cope and manage your emotions in order to get back to that kind of like pre-crisis
Okay.
state. So you could think about something as simple as like you're a student and you had like a final or an exam, right? And then it doesn't go well, right? You don't get a good grade on it or something like that. So you feel the emotion of it, you know, like disappointment, frustration, and then it's like the resilience part is like, well, what do I do from there, right? So you feel it,
Okay,
and then
yeah.
it's like, can I get back to that point of how I was going into it,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I think some people can do that.
Yeah.
Some people have kind of built up that ability. Some people develop it relatively quickly, and in other people it takes more time
Yeah.
to be able to bounce back in a way.
Is that a lot of your work with clients, is trying to help build their muscles for resilience, or?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think it takes, 'cause some people fall into these traps of, they identify a lot with their hardship,
Mm-hmm.
and then they get stuck in it, and they don't, it becomes part of the hardship becomes part of who they are,
Oh,
versus the recovery from the hardship becoming who they are.
I see. Yeah. So an
Yeah.
example of your friends,
Mm-hmm.
their parents
Mm-hmm.
with a divorce.
Yeah.
Maybe that becomes, that's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Is this child who's experienced this?
Yeah.
But you're saying there's this other way of
Mm-hmm.
not disowning the past or
Mm-mm.
distancing, but kind of looking at it differently.
Mhm.
That it doesn't have power over you again, or how do we think about that?
Yeah, I think it's like figuring out like what you learned from it, how you grew from it,
Mhm.
what you discovered about yourself through the process, and then not being like, well, I'm a kid who went through a divorce, and so it can become an excuse
Mm-hmm.
in your life,
Mm-hmm.
versus my parents got a divorce. It was tough. Like, I had to be able to do this. I had to be able to have conversations with my parents that were uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I had to be able to figure out what I wanted for me, in the midst of it.
Okay.
I needed to, trust my friends, to talk to them, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So,
As you and I have had conversations about parenting quite a
Mhm.
bit in our personal lives.
yeah.
How do you build resilience in a kid? It almost seems like you have to let them experience pain,
Yeah.
which is hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, how do you build resilience in kids?
Well, I mean, we're in it, right? I have
Yeah.
3 kids, and you have 2 kids, and
Yeah.
so yeah, we're trying to build that resilience all the time, right? And I think building resilience, a lot of it is about letting your kids experience some discomfort,
Mm-hmm.
so they get an opportunity to have that, like, discomfort come at them. They have to feel what it's like. They have to experience the emotion of discomfort, and then make a choice of like, well, what do I do next?
Yeah.
What's an appropriate thing to do with this feeling?
Well, it's almost like walking alongside of them,
Mm-hmm.
helping them develop that muscle, then protecting them from
Mm-hmm.
the hard thing at school or with friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this can be simple things, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's discomfort in like bringing your plate from the dining room table to the sink. If you're doing that
Yeah.
for your kid,
Yeah.
like, maybe you let them experience I don't want to have to carry this. Like, I don't have to clean my plate. It's like, well, that's a small, like, micro discomfort that
Yeah.
if they don't have that in their life, then they're less likely to build on bigger discomforts
Yeah.
and be able to be resilient through that.
Yeah. Because the goal is for them to be able to do really hard things
Yeah.
as they grow up. Because the world is not kind
Yeah.
to everybody
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah,
to say
the
it
world's
lightly.
not gonna like
Yeah.
protect you, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, big things like our example, like a kid going through a divorce.
Yeah.
I mean, that's significant,
Yeah.
So, and I think as adults too, the same thing. Like, we're more prepared in a lot of ways. Like, we've gone through childhood and we've developed just resilience just through all the experiences of
Mhm.
childhood.
Mhm.
But then we get introduced to more difficult things as adults, and
Yeah.
more challenges and new challenges, things that are outside of our control at times.
Yeah.
So
So what are just like practical tips that you give clients or for adults as far as things like resilience? Like are there some real easy takeaways of habits we can do to make ourselves more resilient, or ways of thinking, even if it's those small things? Yeah, what can we do? Because hearing you, I feel compelled. Okay, I've got to help myself experience discomfort and grow through that.
Yeah.
What are some of the ways we can do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think like some habits that people like routines and disciplines and things like that become, you know, on certain days they become things that you just don't want to do. You know, we were talking about earlier, like exercise.
Yeah.
And you having exercise this morning, there's maybe a part of you that doesn't want to do that, doesn't want to get up and go for the run or do the workout, whatever it is. That in itself can help build some resilience.
Yeah.
Right? You don't necessarily want to do it. It's a hard thing to do. You know you're going to feel exertion and tired, but you do it. Mentally, there's like some strength in that.
Sure. And that builds momentum over time.
Yeah. So
yeah,
if you think about people that have just lived a life that's like lots of hardship.
Yeah.
And they're continuously their normal is difficult days.
Yeah.
You know, you introduce them to kind of a lighter day. Everything just feels so free and easy.
You know, a lot of the research out there talks about the power of how we interpret our environment.
Yeah.
Can either amplify the stress or it can actually reframe or reduce the stress. And so I just wonder, like, how much can we convince ourselves that we're okay in some ways? Like, how much power does our mind have to reframe or reinterpret situations as, oh, well, it's not so bad because I have done hard things before.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, talk to me about reframing the mindset.
I think that's I mean, what you're cueing into, I think, is developing like confidence in yourself.
Okay.
And I think part of reframing or changing the mindset can have a tone of confidence that I have the ability to get through or manage situations, which confidence is going to come from like trusting yourself, right? So I trust myself not to maybe have all the answers, but I trust myself to figure it out.
Yeah.
Which can be, it's probably one of the hallmarks of being resilient. Is to be confident in yourself and trust yourself that you'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah, and people don't often have confidence, right? So I bet your work is trying to help have small victories where people start to build that confidence over time.
Yeah, and reframing, like you said, can help with that, right? Like if you work at, someone kind of comes in with a presenting problem, they come in with a perspective on that problem, and then you're working with them on different ways to think about, new ways to think about that issue or problem.
Okay.
Right? So, and if they're able to do that, right, start to learn how to do that, that increases their confidence in themselves and their ability to trust that they'll be able to manage difficult situations.
Maybe even if that worst case scenario, the dreaded scenario happens, I won't like it, but I'll be okay because I know I'll be able to continue on.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Because resilience, it's about bouncing back. It's also about just being able to endure, right? To be able to like emotionally cope through a difficult situation.
So maybe let's take an example of grief.
Yeah.
Someone's experiencing deep grief, the loss of a loved one, maybe a traumatic loss. And we're not talking about you're going to be happy because you've done these 5 things and reframed it and like, well, it's not so bad, kind of minimizing your feelings. You're saying, I can endure my grief. Yeah.
Yeah. Grief is tough because a lot of times grief, you have to like just let yourself be in it.
Yeah.
I think when you have developed resilience over time, your mindset around, grief, or your emotional management around grief is going to be knowing what you're feeling, identifying it, have the awareness, and then letting yourself feel it.
Yeah.
'Cause you have to like go through it.
Okay.
It comes out now or it comes out later, kind of a thing.
Right.
So that can elicit some. You're not gonna maybe feel as confident. I mean, like feeling confident in that. I don't know. That doesn't always feel right with grief. Like it's not like you're walking around feeling confident, but like maybe just that like assuredness that like you're gonna be okay. That's maybe how resiliency would look with the grief.
Okay.
So
I want to talk about anxiety too.
yeah.
So it seems like when I look at headlines and publications, there's a general thesis of anxiety on the rise, whether it's in kids or adults.
Yeah.
And it's closely linked to resilience, I'm sure. How do we manage our anxiety?
Yeah, it's a good question.
It's a big question.
It's a big question. It's a great question. You're right. We see anxiety constantly in therapy, and there's a wide range of it. I mean, you think about kind of like, well, what is anxiety?
Yeah.
Might be a good place to start.
Yeah.
Just like, what is it? And people describe it differently. I would say it's the fear of what's coming. A lot of times I think about like, sometimes I explain it like this, like, anxiety is when you look to the future.
Yeah.
Depression many times looks like when you look to the past, and our goal is to be present.
Yeah.
And so when you feel yourself looking to the future often or more consistently than you are present, a lot of times that feels like that's where that fear comes in. That's where the anxiety comes in. A lot of the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens?
And that can be productive. In some ways, you think about, well, what if this happens? I can
Absolutely.
be prepared.
Yeah. But anxiety comes when you have gotten past preparation and planning. Like you prepare for a trip or you plan for a trip. At some point, you're done.
Yeah, you've prepared.
Yeah, you're prepared, right? You don't have to like keep going back and like scrutinizing every detail and forecasting possible scenarios. At some point, you're done.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself forecasting frequently what's to come, you're probably starting to get into an anxiety state.
Okay. So like when I travel, maybe this is too personal. When I travel and I go to the airport, I prepare. I always have some food and my carry-on in case we get stuck on the tarmac somewhere. I always go to the bathroom before I get in the airplane in case we get stuck. But then like there's only so much I can do. At some point I got to get on the plane. And if we're going to get stuck on the tarmac, we're going to get stuck on the tarmac.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like being beyond that. Okay, I'm prepared for my trip.
Yeah. With
And
what
I
you
just
can
have-
control,
yeah, of
right?
course, yeah.
Like, and things you can't control.
Sure.
That's where that like trust again, that confidence, that self-esteem, that trust of like, I'll be able to get through it or I'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah, right.
If you're stuck on the tarmac and you have the confidence in yourself to manage the situation.
Yeah.
Like you'll figure something out. You don't have to know what you'll do.
Yeah.
But you do have to have trust in yourself that like you'll be okay.
It seems like some of us probably, just because of our life experience, we've been told we don't have that, and that we just have a lot more of an uphill battle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think depending on childhood and early life experience, different people have different levels of self-esteem and confidence, and so yeah, some people really need to develop that confidence, develop that sense of like, I'm okay. And part of that development process too is like it getting into your self-concept and like your identity.
Okay.
Right? Like, I am a person that can do hard things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just like, I've done hard things. You know, I did this thing once that was difficult. It's like, no, I am a person. That's who I am that can do difficult things.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's one of the most helpful things to remind my clients is just like, you can do hard things, and like to give them evidence from like their experiences in their life that we've talked about. So yeah, I think once you adopt that, right, that's part of you.
Yeah.
Your resilience goes way up.
So your whole, in some ways, it's simple practices. In other ways, it's pretty deep sense of your identity shifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I get, that's like kind of what anxiety is. And I think there's definitely ways to reduce it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a lot of what people are coming into sessions for. They're like, I want this to go down. I want this to go away. And the feeling of like anxiety isn't necessarily going to go away. However, like your interaction, your response to it will start to make it start to feel like it's going away.
Oh, yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I've definitely had people that come in and their body is kind of wound tight and their mind is racing and their mind is racing and scattered and they just feel this like something's coming that's not going to be good, kind of dread. And we start to increase their awareness around what they're feeling, what their thoughts are, trying to find some structure to their thinking, and start to label what they're experiencing. And as we start to do that, their anxiety can start to feel like it's starting to decrease. And part it's because they've just started to change how they interact with it. Because they're facing it and they're trying to understand it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the fear is the unknown. And so as you become, like you make it more known, the fear goes down.
Just strikes me. So my kids go to Christian schools and they do performances and, you know, almost every prayer before a performance is to pray away the anxiety. Lower our anxiety, God, reduce our anxiety. And it's one of my pet peeves, actually.
Okay.
When I was growing up and I was in, I took drama class. They always say, you got to leverage the anxiety and turn it into performance energy. And so this is like you tell a different story and say, this is my body amping up to deliver kick-ass performance.
Yes.
And so I love that, and that was really powerful to me. So whenever I see people saying, just pray it away, it's almost like it's saying, let's just mute ourselves.
Yeah.
But am I off?
No, I don't think you're off. I mean, I think it's part of it's like let's not necessarily. I guess they're saying it could exist, but they're not really addressing it.
Yeah.
Like in a way that it's almost like wishful. You know, like let's just hope that it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And maybe they're saying let's put it in God's hands.
Yeah. Help me be nicer, Kurt. So.
Yeah. But I like what you're saying. I mean, that's kind of how I've always tried to manage anxiety for myself, especially like if there's like performance or like an event or something that I'm going to be involved in. It's like, oh, anxiety, the little nervousness of that anxiety means I'm ready.
Yeah. So you're retelling the story of what the signal is.
Yeah.
The butterflies are preparation and not something bad is going to happen. So there's this big awareness
Mm-hmm.
that we have about what we're experiencing,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's kind of reframing it, changing how we interact with it.
Mm-hmm.
Then what?
Yeah. So I think there's also identifying like what's going on in your body with anxiety too, because that's another avenue of reducing it, reducing the feeling. So some things that we do in therapy are gonna, we talk and educate about meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And it does a couple different things. One, it just gets you more aware of what your body's going through.
Yeah.
And then also learning to kind of calm yourself down.
Yeah.
And almost observe yourself calm down, right? So if you're in like a heightened state and you start to meditate and your breathing slows and you get in a more restful state, you feel your heart rate go down and different parts of your body start to relax.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of different ways to do that. Meditation is one. Exercise helps a lot.
Yeah.
There's just doing one task instead of doing a bunch of tasks. So monotasking is really helpful. A lot of like mindfulness activities, things that require just thought about one thing and just focused on that.
A lot of bringing to the present. It sounds like,
a lot
right?
of bringing to
just
the
bringing
present.
like literally right to my breathing.
Yeah, that's a good way to connect it, right? Like we said before, like looking ahead is going to create a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do we get back to that present moment?
Mm-hmm.
And it's cueing into what's happening right now.
Yeah.
That also ties into just like what you asked earlier, like what happens in therapy.
Yeah.
The best counselors that I've been around or experienced, they have the ability to say what's happening in the moment, in the session, right? So it's not about, the relationship outside the session or the anxiety about the thing that's coming. Some of it is just like right now in the session, what's happening between you and the therapist.
And you help the person notice, the client notice.
Yeah, you
point to it.
You call that out.
Yeah.
Or you ask questions for them to think about, what's happening in that moment. So that's really effective. I think with anxiety, starting to be able to use that tool sometimes can like call out or help people become aware of, even in the session, how they're increasing their anxiety levels based on how they're interacting or what they're saying.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
because maybe you're noticing them elevate how they talk about something, and you just notice it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like, what are you feeling? How did that statement, how did that phrasing impact you?
So you've spent thousands and thousands of hours in your practice.
Yes.
Like, what is it that unlocks when someone is able to all of a sudden get in front of something they're facing? Whether it's they can really endure something like grief or recover from something traumatic like a divorce. Like, what is that thing that happens?
It's a really good question. I mean, there's probably a couple things, but one thing that really comes to mind is like ownership.
Okay.
Like when a client starts to own, like, this is a thing that I'm dealing with, and this is the thing that I'm going to take responsibility for. So, like, I do couples counseling as well.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's one of the biggest things in couples counseling is when both parties, both partners are able to take ownership of their stuff.
Their own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because so much of it is bent on, like, a lot of times couples come in and you see a lot of the, like, looking for the other person to change. and right. And so when they can take ownership of their own stuff and work on that, that's when I see the relationships start to heal and start to function better. And I think individuals too, when they take ownership of like, I have anxiety, right? So I then have to like have coping skills.
Yeah.
I have to do things maybe differently than someone who doesn't have anxiety.
Yeah.
Like just that ownership, I think can go a long ways.
So it's like saying, as an anxious person, here's how I manage and stay healthy. Or as an anxious person, or a person who experiences anxiety, maybe a little elevated than the population or something. This is how I prevent it from me living into the way God wired me to be, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and to go further on the anxiety, it's like, and like ownership of, I know what's happening. Like I know my nervous system. I know like what's getting activated. I know, so ownership partnered with like, I think some knowledge. Efforts at seeking out, like becoming more of an expert on yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's typically when like I see clients really take that next step is when they start to do that, to really take that ownership.
Yeah.
So they're doing things outside of session. They're coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
Things that could help them.
Yeah.
So that's the exciting things to see.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. So, we've talked a lot about taking ownership. We've talked about things that people can actively do to get healthy or to be able to do what they want to do. Again, you spend thousands of hours listening to people talk about, their most intimate things. What's the encouragement they need to hear often? Like, what do people just need to hear?
Yeah.
As a word of encouragement.
Yeah. Some of it's as simple as just being like, you're going to be okay. They need to hear that it's going to be okay. And it sounds really simple. Like that's something that maybe like a family member would say. I think coming from a therapist that's like maybe seen a lot of different challenges in people's lives, sometimes that can be really effective. I said it earlier, but like just saying like you can do hard things. Because a lot of times it's not a situation where, some things are outside of people's control. And they're just put in situations that are just hard. And so telling them that they can, like, I've seen you, you've experienced hard things, you've gotten through it, like, you can do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think those are big ones. I think also encouragement, like, sometimes they just need to hear, like, this is part of the process, and, like, people hate to hear process because they're like, oh, they want it to be done, But if they're in it long enough, they can start to reflect back and be like, yeah, it is a process. It does take, weeks, months, sometimes years for people,
So similar question on the other side of the coin, though, which maybe you already leaned into this, is the challenge. As I hear you talk, I almost feel like an encouraging challenge that it's okay, and then go ahead and do the hard thing.
Yeah.
But is there a word of challenge, like a gentle challenge that people often need to hear that may be different than what you just said?
Yeah, sometimes people need a gentle challenge. Sometimes they need a big challenge.
Okay.
It's interesting. I've kind of learned that with people is that some people want the, like, the zero entry to the pool, like just like this slow, gradual walking in, and some people want to jump off the diving board.
Okay.
And so some people, it's like, well, let's start here with this step that like doesn't feel like there's many barriers to it. And then other people, the challenge is like, hey, you can do this. It seems like you want to just go all in. So let's set up a plan to go all in.
Do it.
Do
the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes that sparks something where sometimes I'll do like, call them like comfort challenges with people that have some like insecurity about themselves, and you want them to just like get through that fear. And so, like I've had someone that has like gone to a restaurant by themselves. They brought a book, and they ate a meal and read a book, and they felt the discomfort in themselves of like what that was like. They talked about thinking of like, well, what are people thinking of me? And which is exactly what the challenge was about. Yeah. Like, are we too focused on what people think of us? And so this person, that was a big thing. And so it was having them walk into that fear, feel what it's like, and realize kind of what's on the other side of fear. Yeah. And what they realized too is like they could get over it pretty quick. Like, it didn't really matter. Like, once they, like, they're just eating, you know, they're reading, and they could start to be like, well, I know what I'm doing. I know why I'm here. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's almost a theme of, correct me if I'm wrong, but exertion. Like, almost like what you do is people have avoidance, and you're encouraging people to just lean in, and the pathway to health is actually through discomfort.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Because you think about all the things that like make you healthy in a lot of ways has an element of discomfort to it. So, like, you're right. A lot of the challenges for clients includes that element of discomfort. Yeah. And some people want to just go into it, and other people need like small dosage.
Sure. You know. So one place where maybe there is a fair amount of anxiety and a need for resilience can be the church.
Absolutely.
Let's think about pastors for a minute.
I'm familiar.
So we both are sons of pastors. Let's think about some examples of how pastors may be uniquely equipped to either help people through what we were talking about with resilience and managing anxiety, or just is there something specific about pastors and leaders in their world where there's a particular practice or particular way of being that might be helpful in pastors managing their resilience and anxiety?
Yeah, I think about pastors, the ones that I've connected with the most are very, very authentic people. And part of their authenticity is that they care about their congregation, and they show that in a very authentic way, which I think I think authenticity ties into a lot of the stuff we're talking about today. And I think you learn a lot about yourself when you go through hard times, and building that resilience of like, this is who I am, this is what I know about myself, and being able to get through it. So I think people also, like, they feel connected to pastors that are very authentic. And so being able to, I think, display that as a pastor is important.
You know, Kurt, you mentioned the example of a client who went to a restaurant to read a book and be by themselves. And part of that was the experiment or the experience of discomfort of experiencing what people may be thinking.
Yeah.
You know, in my work at Calvin and Lifelong Learning, where we support pastors in stages of their growth, I think probably a lot of pastors can relate to that and having quite a high view of whether they like it or not, or want to or not, the opinion of the church about them.
Yeah.
And almost the calling of the pastor is so high that it's almost like, to use a psychological term, identity enmeshment, where the identity of the role that they play at a church is so attached to their identity that their self-concept isn't separated from pastor. And then the success of their ministry or the opinion or the acceptance or rejections of the church of them as a person becomes, heightened. And so it's maybe just an observation of some of the things that we've walked people through in some of our cohorts about kind of separating, getting outside of that and recognizing who you are outside of the specific vocational calling. Anyway, I guess what I'm just saying is it seems like the ability that you've been talking about to kind of get outside of yourself, be self-aware of what's happening in the moment, and then reframe it and tell another story could be really important for people who are so enmeshed in their career identity. Especially for pastors. Because it's a holy calling.
What do you think their like primary need is in those when they're so entrenched in their
I think many are hoping to be able to say to God, I've done enough in their most honest moments. Or there's so much pressure to deliver, to grow, to preach multiple times a week sometimes. There's just such a demand to perform the acts of ministry that when you're not feeling on stable legs yourself, it gets really hard to keep pushing through. And so there's living up to the expectations that maybe churches put on its leaders to not show doubt, for example.
I think the authenticity can look like verbalizing where you're at.
Okay.
It could look like verbalizing a period of doubt, but still showing the resilience of like, here's the things I know. However, this is the season I'm in.
Yes. Right.
And having the courage to do that. There's got to be a lot of fear around. Verbalizing that to, a congregation for sure, but I think those are situations that are pretty delicate. However, a lot of the same concepts apply. Where if you have that anxiety about being seen a certain way, stepping into it. That's where the courage comes from. Step into it, be like, this is, hey, this is who I am. Which will happen is it'll be extremely validating to the congregation members because everybody's been there.
Of course.
You know? So it normalizes, man, even our pastor feels that way.
So again, it's leaning into that exertion of that. Again, on the Calvin Seminary side of things, we provide these cohort experiences where people can really let their guard down and almost get up the courage to do these kinds of things. So, of course, it's not therapy, but it's a group process where we go pretty deep into kind of who are you, what are the things underneath, being self-aware, and kind of right-sizing some of our concerns and fears and anxieties even, to then be able to step into confidence into these really challenging environments.
I mean, I feel like that'd be a huge experience and tool for people to grow.
All right, so I like to ask everybody, what gives you hope?
I think what gives me hope is I get to talk to so many different people, and so many different people grow in different ways, and people are growing, people are healing, people are learning about themselves, people are seeking authenticity, and they are doing it, right? So I know there's a lot of things that tell us that, things are going, this way or that way, like to the negative. But I do get to see people, they go through challenges, but they also come out on the other side. And I get to see the resilience in people, like it develop, it grow. People demonstrate it. And like we said before, sometimes they need a reminder, like, hey, you can do hard things. And I've had clients say, sometimes I just remember I can do hard things. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And then they do. I mean, they do really hard things. Yeah. They have hard conversations. They go to their spouse and talk to them about something that they've been holding inside, or they talk to a parent, or they just go through an experience. So that gives me hope.
Yeah, you get a front row seat to a lot of growth and health.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sitting with me and talking about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it, Kurt.
Yeah.